We are live, audio is live.
Oh, I guess I don't have the password in here.
Okay, Lonnie, do you have the password for the Wi-Fi?
I do, I gotta go grab it.
That's great, thank you.
Okay. Well, in the meantime, while we're waiting for that, do you have any other additions to the minutes from last meeting?
No, those look great.
Okay, and you saw my edits to
Yep.
that? Okay,
So I will make a motion to approve the minutes for last session.
do you want me to approve them?
I will make a motion to
Did you
approve
want me to
them.
make a motion, because then that's how I, or wait, maybe I had it, like the notes that I started,
Yeah.
I put one of us in there.
Yeah, I'll make the motion
I'll
to
second.
approve them. There we go. I
Um,
just like this.
and then can I have that one? So, solid waste, setting the process in which fees are collected for solid waste, since I did that last time at the, council meeting, I'm happy to reintroduce it again, and I actually just put a little, the key points together that I can talk about.
I think at the council meeting, I think a couple people might have thought that from July to November, people were getting double billed to make up for
Okay.
that. We're not doing that.
Yeah, and I have addressed
But I
that.
think I think there was some
the tax-
conversation that
There will be a
made
period
it
of
sound
time
like that.
of what
Yeah.
will look like overlapping payments, but it will actually just be taxes catching up with payments. For
Yeah.
example, this May 2024 tax payment covers payments to Republic made by the city on their behalf for the second half of 2023. So it is a little complicated, but I think once people understand that, they will,
In July, they'll start paying monthly. In November, they'll pay November to July.
well, in November, they will be paying for January through July,
Yeah.
January through
Yeah,
June.
January
Yep.
through June.
So,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's what I say.
So it'll appear to be
That's what I
overlapping,
meant to
but it's
say.
really not.
No.
Because they're
I
behind.
think that's
Yeah.
my only.
Okay, so I will
Like,
touch on
I
that.
noticed that, I thought two of the council people were trying to struggle with why we're billing
Yeah.
twice, and we're not.
Yeah, but I think the visual, you can probably work on a better
As
visual.
long as the public doesn't
Like,
get
it's
the
a good
impression.
spreadsheet, but I think that it might just be good to be like, I don't know, we can probably make it a little bit clearer for folks, because we're gonna need to,
Well, if the council is confused, then the public's gonna be confused.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly, and I have received some pushback on this already, just overall concerns, again, with seniors as well as,
Doesn't change the
It
amount they're
doesn't change the
paying.
amount they're paying though.
right, but it just changes how they're paying. And again, for folks that have mortgages escrowed, or for folks that are more comfortable paying, it changes how they're paying, and that does impact them. So, again, there has been pushback on that. One thing with that, is there any way that, like, I know we're so far in the weeds already and so deep into it, but is there any way that this is something that we could renegotiate with Republic when we're doing contracts, for how we pay?
No, because that's not up to contract, or to Republic how we pay. We pay Republic monthly.
Right.
So
They're not
how
gonna let
we
us pay
collect,
6 months later,
how
or
we-
if they do, they're gonna charge us interest.
how we collect though is on us. It's
Right.
not through Republic, so that's not something that would be negotiated. The only thing that can be negotiated is the amount, the contract amount. So as far as the way it's collected, that's totally on the city, not Republic.
And
And it is a recommendation from the auditors too.
Right. Yep,
So I think I don't wanna say it's a done deal, but
yeah,
it's,
I just would be
it's
remiss
gonna be
if I didn't
uncomfortable.
mention it.
Yes,
Yep.
yes, and if there's anything that you can think of that we can
Yeah,
help with that.
and that's it. I was just like, wanted to bring it up one more time, just because I know that there has been pushback on it. So if nothing else, we'll at least want to make sure that we have a very clear understanding for everybody, and we're all on that same page. So maybe I'll work on,
Well, that's why I put together like an actual presentation,
Oh,
for myself to go off of,
Okay.
just so I didn't miss anything, because
Okay.
I'm not a very good extemporaneous speaker. I like to have my
visual.
facts.
Yep,
So, but when I'm done, feel free to, clarify anything that you think that I
And
didn't explain.
we we might wanna test it on just a standard public, like someone who's not familiar with it, just like, hey, does this make sense to you? Like, just anyone from the community, friends, family.
And we will have a second public hearing, right?
It's a resolution, right? It's not an ordinance. Or is it an
Uh,
ordinance?
It's
Oh, it is an
ordinance.
ordinance, yes.
Yeah,
So,
so
yeah,
we're
we'll
first
have a-
hearing
So this is the
tonight.
first hearing, so yeah, we can tweak it for, if anybody, you know, I will share this PowerPoint with you. This is 4 pages. And if you wanna go through it with them, and
Yeah.
then maybe give me any direction, like the
That'd be
people that are, I haven't gotten any feedback from anybody. but-
Okay. Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay.
Could you just send me that at
Share
some
it to you.
point?
I'll share it to you right now.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Recording in progress.
So, yeah, they still have to do
Sounds like a bad sci-fi movie.
And then anything on school fees, I mean, that's pretty straightforward, I'm happy to introduce that again too.
Yes, that sounds great.
Okay,
Hopefully no one else is getting that weird, not that I think anyone
Yeah, I
else
hope
is
that's
on,
not.
so.
and then these next, I feel like we should, since Tom's here, maybe skip to the readdressing right now.
Yep, that sounds good.
And then, deal with whatever's left.
Yep, so you can go get some food.
Who's getting food?
Oh, I was gonna say, if anyone needs to go get food.
Oh.
Okay, perfect, yeah, let's,
All right, so Tom, this is, the ordinance was passed in 2016, but nothing ever happened with that. So we need to, present a resolution to direct the mayor to begin it if we want to move forward with it. So in my mind, I want to know, like, why is this important?
Yeah, I think it's good just to step back in time a little bit and kind of represent what was delivered back in
Guys,
2016,
thank you.
17, and kind of go from there. But since it's a whole new makeup of council members and mayor and everything, I think it would be
You
good.
kind of just start from the beginning.
Yeah. So I'm just getting permission to share my screen.
you should have it, yep. Perfect.
It's even updated.
Yeah,
Look at that.
I took a little time to,
Renumbering. Okay. And the idea, Tom, is that you give us this first, and then at the next city council meeting, you can present to the whole council.
we can do this.
And maybe if we have questions, you can tweak this to address any of them.
Yep, sounds good.
Okay.
Yeah, I've been kind of throwing this all together by myself, without a lot of input from Chief Kuntz or, Chief Schrock. I mean, back at the time, we had all, again, different makeup. Officer Chief Cope was a supporter of this, and he had some inputs, and so, yeah, we may need to revise this a little bit.
Okay.
So, I'm just calling it renumbering Red Lodge, because last time I presented it, I talked not only about this renumbering scheme, but several of the address issues that were in existence throughout the city of Red Lodge. Non-compliance with no posting of addresses and some anomalies up in the golf course and all that. I boiled this down just to this renumbering effort that was discussed back then.
Okay.
So, I'm gonna cut to the chase. Why are we here? To put it most succinct, it's the simple fact that city block addresses do not align with the street numbers. I can't put it any more simple than that. And for example, Chris Keys, can you tell me, what street do you turn on to get to 417 Platt Avenue South?
15th,
Oh, that's pretty good.
because I know, because I live at 408 McGillen,
Oh,
and
God.
we're between 15th and 16th.
I would have asked somebody else.
Yeah, it
I would
doesn't
have
make sense,
scratched
you're
their
right.
head for 5 minutes and tried to do the math. But this is an example of where.
Ask me what plat is, I couldn't tell you.
So, trying to find, even addresses off of the avenues from the streets is very difficult at this time. So it makes navigation in downtown very difficult for the vast majority of homes and businesses in the community. So even if you're addressed off of Hagan Avenue, Hauser, doesn't matter. The fact that the street numbers are not aligned to the blocks makes it difficult to try and navigate to the right location. So, you might say this is inconvenient. I would say it's probably problematic for emergency response especially, but also these other ancillary services, FedEx, UPS, all are visitors throughout the summer. How do they find where they're trying to go when given just an address? Granted, there's a lot of, mapping tools out there today that, can aid in that navigation, but it's still the on-the-ground simplicity and the logical setup of the addressing system that is really most critical. And again, for emergency services, when I'm a fire guy, when I jump in the fire truck and I'm driving down and trying to find an address off of Hagan Avenue, my inclination is to get on Hagan as soon as I can and then start looking at the block numbers, as I go down to make sure that I locate. And that's
You
just
can't drive and Google at the same time.
You can't, and we've been in situations where we've had to go drive around the block and get on the right side of the street with the engine facing the right way and all this. So it could be critical time lost. The other thing to consider is as the city grows out, one logical place it would grow is to the north, and with First Street being at the very edge of the north corridor, how are we going to name any east-west running streets? I mean, you can't extend it, so we have to give them names. Hence Robinson Lane and Fairchild Lane, and those should be numbered as well for consistency. And with the current system, it's really stifling us in terms of consistency in our naming convention.
Yep.
So before we talk about the pros and cons and what it's going to take, let me just step back and give you a quick refresher on the addressing system of Red Lodge so that we're all on the same page, okay? So, streets and avenues. Avenues are oriented in a north-south direction and named Hagan, Hauser, Chamber, so forth. Streets, on the other hand, are oriented on east-west, and they are numbered. Let me see if I can get rid of that stupid little screen there. I'm blocking the way.
Yep.
A little better.
There you go.
I'll throw it down the bottom. Okay. Oops, I must have gone off a page here too. Page up. Sorry. I've lost control here. Okay, there we go. Okay, so streets east-west. First Street starts at the very north, goes all the way down to 23rd Street at the very south end of the municipal boundary. Street numbering system constrained north end of the city, which I just mentioned. And let's see. I'm sorry.
You're good.
Ooh. A delay here somewhere.
You're connected to the internet? We have very good internet now. Thank you, honey.
Okay, so we're going to skip right on the addresses. Okay. So, addressing in the city of Red Lodge uses a city block system, meaning that for every block, there is addresses that are reserved for each one of the segments, to 100. So you got your 100 block, your 200 block, your 300 block, and so forth. The origin of this block system is at the intersection of 11th Street and Broadway Avenue, as illustrated on that map. So from there, addresses or the numbers increase as you move away from this origin. So numbers, as you go north, you would expect to get bigger, and as you go south from the origin, they would expect to get bigger. Over 90% of the addresses are on the avenues, so when the city was laid out, most of the homes were facing the avenues, and they were assigned addresses on those avenues. Over time, you know, vacant lots got built, houses were turned, demolished, so forth, and we do have a handful of homes and businesses that are now aligned to the streets and given a street address. Just for your knowledge, the even number of addresses should be on the east and the south side of the street. Odd numbers should be on the west and the north. We've taken this block system and we've kind of overlaid it on the entire municipal boundary, including the golf course, including the spires, and use that same kind of numbering system all the way into the kind of the non-traditional area or the non-downtown area of Red Lodge. So we try to maintain consistency there. That was a decision made long ago. And as I mentioned before, address blocks don't match street numbers. So here's a little bit of a zoom in of what it looks like from the origin at 11th and Broadway. You've got and then each square represents kind of your block. You got your 0 to 99 block, then your 100 block, your 200 block north, east and west. You can kind of see how it's laid out there. We overlay the same time we assign a new address to make sure we're in the right block grid. Again, if you kind of look at this kind of from an aerial view, that's what it might look like from 9th Street east going north. You've got 202 Hagen Avenue North, 206 Hagen Avenue North, 212, 214. Very logical, very systematic. Evens on the east side, odds on the west side, as I mentioned. So there's good parity there. That's the way it should be laid out. Okay? So the fix this inconsistent addressing system is what I'm going to present and what was presented back in 2016. Basically, the fix would be to rename all streets, not the avenues, just the street numbers, to align with the city blocks. And to do so, you would have to designate kind of a baseline east-west street, which is currently 11th Street. And if we were, huh?
Is that the post office?
Yeah.
It's right now,
It is a 0, 11th, okay.
Oh, 13.
so again, this is kind of the east-west origin, right up beside our door.
This
So-
would become first?
Huh?
Would this become first?
No,
It's
it's the
basically
opposite.
the zero street.
Central Street,
Call
okay.
it Central Street, or if you were gonna honor Glory Mayhem's, wishes, it would be Mount Murray Street.
What would you want it to?
Mount Murray
No,
Street
Mount Murray.
was the name that was kind of reflected under some
I think it went through council.
draw or something, I can't remember.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty sure that was approved.
Call it what you want, it's,
She did a voting.
you can call it, but that is baseline street. And then moving north, you'd have your First Street North, your Second Street North, your Third Street North. Same way the south, First Street South, Second Street South, Third Street South. Obviously, a critical part of this is that you have to have that post-directional notation to differentiate between your north streets and your south streets. Okay, you gotta have that, it's critical. The other thing I would, recommend is that we establish, we move the address origin from Broadway Avenue and we move it to a false easting location to avoid any post-directional quadrants. By that I mean, so we don't have to have 4th Street Southwest
Yeah.
or Northeast. So if we take that all away, we just got simply, again, the north-south streets. We don't have to worry about the east-west directional. I know it's hard for a lot of people to kind of grasp, but it just simplifies the system just a little bit by taking that. It doesn't affect the avenues again. We still got our North Broadway and our South Broadway, but we just have now our north streets and our south streets. Does that make sense?
Mhm. Yeah, and that was the only concern that has popped up with someone mentioning the quadrant
Yeah.
piece. And so if we have that resolved by just moving it out, open it out to the east.
Yeah, we go way outside, we take it over across the creek, and then we start with the 0, the 100 block, the 200 block from that lower. And so by the time you reach over to, let's say, Chambers Avenue, you're maybe at the 500 block already. But that's fine, you just continue it out, and it's the west.
What percentage of homes, roughly, are on the, first, on the streets instead of the avenues?
Good question. That is the ultimate question. this is where we kind of get into the positive impacts of this move versus the negative impact. So obviously, first important, this would, solve that problem of inconsistency. We'd have an intuitive, convenient addressing system for all to use. So, going back to that example again, you could just simply say, yeah, 417 Platte Avenue South is between Fourth Street and Fifth Street South. It's that simple.
And so, for someone who is actually at 417 South Platte, they wouldn't change their address, it would just be the streets that would get changed.
It would be
Right.
the folks that are on like
Yeah.
15th Street.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
No avenue addresses would change. Only those that have been assigned a street address, which again, is the minority
Yep.
in the community.
Right.
So let me give you those numbers here shortly.
Yeah.
So the other thing, again, as I mentioned before, to allow us to build out to the north with consistent street numbers, if that's where our growth is gonna occur, which likely it is. You know, the golf course isn't always gonna be there. We're gonna build off at Broadway Avenue and probably have,
Where's the golf course going?
I think
Empty lot.
real estate values are probably gonna take that lower hole out of the equation at some point, would be my guess. That's speculation. So, I
That's-
shouldn't
I'm
say
not-
that on a recorded. The golf course is
There's
going
Alistair.
under. But we've got to grow somewhere,
Yep.
and we want to make sure we grow with consistency.
With that, how would that affect the spires or subdivisions along those lines?
That's another really good question. So the golf course is kind of its own little anomaly. There's so much inconsistency up there with relation to avenues and streets. Like you have Lazy M Street, but it kind of,
It goes,
Yeah.
takes a
I still don't
curve.
know my way around up there.
Yeah.
After
Then
20
you have
years.
Lazy Circle
It
and.
probably, in retrospect, it probably wasn't the best addressing system for that subdivision because of the curved linear streets, whereas downtown we have nice rectangular streets.
Yep.
So, but I don't think we would really have to touch those.
Sure,
I
no,
would leave them as is.
yeah.
It's really, we're talking about just the downtown area of
Just
Red
let them
Lodge.
burn.
Well, I mostly mean for.
Kidding. I'm totally kidding.
I mostly mean specifically for new developments like the Spires, because again, currently we have phase 1 of the Spires, which actually in progress, but phase 2 and phase 3 are still there and still up for development.
Yeah. Unfortunately, again, the naming conventions for the streets and avenues weren't held tight, and we allowed them to put, you know, Bainbury Avenue
Yeah,
going east-west. and-
cutesy rules, and
Yeah,
so, I mean, they could do their own cutesy thing up there as long as.
we probably could accommodate it. It's just, we're gonna try to stay within the block numbers that have already been extended out.
Perfect. Yep, that's only question there, so.
Yeah. Now, when, yeah, I won't go there. I won't talk about Remington Ranch. Okay, so those are the positives. The negatives, though, here's the impact you were questioning
All right.
about. So both Mike and I kind of went through a simple GIS analysis. We came up with the exact same number. Just under 8%.
That's good, yeah.
Would need to be addressed. And again, those are only the ones facing the streets. Now, well, which ones are gonna have to be readdressed? There's a lot of homes, but there are businesses as well, and government institutions, like Carbon County Administration Building would have to be readdressed. Yellowstone Wildlife Sanctuary, Boys and Girls Club, Carnegie Library.
Wouldn't we have to be readjusted here?
Huh?
No?
No, you're on file.
Oh, okay. Yep, one.
But this gives you some idea of some, you know, perhaps some businesses, and you gotta be realistic. I mean, changing a home address is inconvenient, but it can be done. I mean, if they've got a mortgage, then you gotta provide them with a notification letter. They gotta go through that change notification, everything. With businesses, it's a little bit even more inconvenient because they've got advertising, they've got business cards, they've got all this. So I recognize, I've been doing this for 15 years, and I know the impacts of changing one's address. Sometimes it's pretty simple, other times it's a lot more involved.
Does it involve anything with the courthouse and like your deed or anything like that, or is that all?
Yeah, that's gonna be my question, is what steps would each of these individuals have to take in terms of getting that readdressed?
Well, the first thing that you'd have to do is, the city would be responsible for issuing a change of address.
Okay.
Which is a formal notification that your address has changed from this to that. And they need that, to prove to all these, you know, whether it's a mortgage company or banking institution, whatever, that physical address has changed. Now, again, the majority of people in town have post office boxes, so it shouldn't impact their delivery services so much.
Can you imagine if the post office had to roll with that change? With all the turmoil right now?
Well, that being said, they're gonna have to, because they do keep on file what all our physical addresses are, so we would need to provide some sort of notice to them of all their changed addresses.
But, it'd be done, and again, it sounds pretty daunting, but it can be automated, just
Sure.
using the mail merge function and a spreadsheet and old address, new address.
Mostly we just wanna make sure we know what checklist we have to go off of, because people are gonna ask. Question on that too, so with the county, we'd be able to just get that re-recorded at the county for deeds, plats. There would be, I would imagine, talking with First American Flying S Title, talking to those title companies to figure out what they're gonna need for change of their records, because in the real estate world, that's important.
And I don't know if you try to do that systematically or deal with it at the time of, it is brought to the surface that there's an issue. But I do it all the time, and all it takes is that letter, generally.
You have, that was one question I had, how many times have you done this and where have you done it? And what kind of feedback do you get from the people who have to change?
I first tell them that the county is the addressing authority. It's not the postal service, it's not UPS, it's county is the one who issues the address, and as long as they have that proof from my office on letterhead stating that the address has changed, it has been accepted 99% of the time. So, and then, and who requests these? Again, mortgage folks, real estate offices, title companies especially. Whenever they come across a good discrepancy, they typically reach out to me and I provide that documentation. But again, if you provide that documentation in advance to the homeowners, they should be able to address it themselves.
Would the county be notifying?
What's that?
Would the county be notifying people in the city?
No, I would see the city
The
notifying.
city would do what you're doing now.
And, what, just, roughly of those 151 addresses, how many are businesses, how many are residential? And is it harder for a business, or is it harder for a residential, or does it make not a difference?
Well,
More
as I mentioned,
expensive for business.
I think there's more investment on the business behalf, because they've got marketing literature out there, and business ads, and
Signage and.
signage, yeah, potentially signage. So it could be impactful for
Got to change
businesses.
your driver's license.
I kind of went through, I
Right.
looked at, I scanned the list, and I came up with these. This is probably maybe the majority of them, to 3/4 of them. All the other ones are residential.
And Mike actually brought up a good point just now, driver's licenses, people would have to go get those changed.
How critical is it?
We see licenses from,
But again,
Every
that piece
state
of
that
paper
people
is
are
your
living
golden
here.
ticket.
so. I
So
don't
if you
know
go in
that
and
that's-
you're gonna go change your voter registration, you need to have that
Yeah.
letter
Yeah.
from the city.
So you'd say mostly then, it's mostly residential?
Yeah. An estimate would be 125 of the 151 are residential.
Okay.
An
It
estimate.
doesn't look like there's many. Did you do a map of them all on your thing?
I didn't
It
create.
doesn't look like there's many businesses on there. Those are the
No, well,
151.
I focused on the businesses because I think
Yeah.
they're gonna be the most impact, and also the most vocal,
That's,
Yeah.
with this proposed change. Other things, so let's go on to, street signs. This is not trivial either. I counted about 135 street intersections that would have to have new signage, which means doubling that, because as you can see in that lower right-hand corner, that they're two single-sided, aluminum plates put together on a square post. So it's actually two signs per street intersection. So 200 single-sided signs would need to be replaced. Now, I might argue, and these signs have been up there for a long, long time. I'm not sure the actual age, or whether or not they're even really compliant by today's traffic control standards, because they don't meet reflectivity standards,
Sure.
which is the AASHTO compliancy. There's also signs that were put up recently, with the reconstruction of Brewery Hill and the roundabout, and they put up down in the right-hand corner, you see Second Street. Second Street now, it's not spelled out, there's no directional notation at the back end of it, it's just Second Street, and that's just wrong.
Yeah.
It should look what is appeared on the right, Second Street East, with its number being. So, there would be the opportunity to fix those signs that are wrong.
Okay.
My personal opinion is I would try to cut costs as much as possible by reusing the aluminum, that you take off the existing and just recover them with that high-intensity prismatic vinyl and apply the new letters and numbers. That would at least save some costs and materials. I think that's doable, although they're not easy to get off those square posts. Just rivets are a bugger.
Yeah.
Can I interject as long as you're talking about cost?
Mhm.
Lonnie, is that, we have, or Mike, you put together a sheet
I haven't
that,
got a budget for this yet.
but I think we have 40,000 set aside,
40.
right? From 2016?
Yeah, we've just been
Just rolling it down, okay. And, okay, thank you.
And then the other cost would be just staff time. Someone, could process those address change notifications. Again, maybe that can be automated in some manner. The last thing, I'll just remind you that all this is gonna take some time. There's multiple addressing systems out there. It's gonna take time to propagate through all these systems and to have these changes take true effect on all of them.
How do you get it into Google or Apple Maps or whatever?
We push it out via various forms. First, we get it established at the state library because a lot of people harvest data from the state library. We can push to Google, we can push to Here is another company. Some actually take the data and then it'll be updated in their next revision, but it's gonna take a little bit of time.
Is it like a year from start to finish?
Probably, yeah, before you can see it really
Mhm.
take effect on a lot of the digital map databases that are out there, including the Garmin, systems that are in cars and.
Cadastral.
Cadastral will happen pretty quick, because that's state.
Mike, what are your thoughts as far as staff time? Is that?
Well, I think that,
You can work in?
some that's gonna come down here,
Yeah, the
No.
paperwork part of it will come
the
from
whole
us, but the
notification part.
changing.
But yeah, you could
All the
definitely-
nasty phone calls are gonna come here. For us, changing the signs, it's doable, and I think we can work it in,
Mhm.
It's probably not, it's gonna be, like he said, it's not gonna happen,
Overnight.
and it's gonna be confusing as all get out during the whole
You just take them all
transition.
down first and then.
On that note, just for
That might be a good
sake
idea,
of
is
being
to
able
take
to
them all
provide
down first.
instructions and directions with their,
Have a party.
could we request that there is some sort of like timeline that this Monday will be these blocks, this Monday will be, then that way-
That's a great idea, but it doesn't usually work with Public Works, because we have stuff come up, like
there.
a plug sewer line that we're not gonna say,
Sure.
oh, we're putting up signs today.
It just might be nice to have that notification.
And that's
for-
a good way to
This
make the
month.
sewer line.
Yeah, well, specifically, I think about, in my world, I am constantly giving directions to homes on a regular basis. And I don't wanna, I wanna make sure that's as smooth as possible. So again, it'd be nice to have that kind of
Take that
notification.
year off.
What was that?
Take that year
Oh,
off.
God, yeah, if only.
It's gonna cause some heartache, there's no doubt about it, but you gotta think long-term through this process. If
Yep.
you really wanna do this and do it right, it's gonna make the whole system a lot better moving forward.
Yeah.
And
So
for
I
the
can-
resident and business people that have to change, there'll be a transition period, right? I mean, they'll just get mail, for example, at both addresses until it gets completely transferred to, I mean, they're gonna have to go through and change their addresses with everybody they know.
Yeah, mail, again, everyone in town, post office box, there is no mail delivery. Courier
Oh,
service,
true.
FedEx, UPS, yeah, there might be a little bit of hiccup in that
Which,
process.
Is that something you can also upload, or do they get their information
that might
from?
be a good call.
That'd be a good question to Tom, UPS or someone local.
Yeah.
That would take if we-
And I know that Dave has connection with someone at UPS at least, where
Yeah.
maybe that'd be a good question to ask, and,
Our driver's probably a good person to ask too, he's been there forever.
Yeah.
Scott.
and Monty, like, they're all great. I like
Yeah,
the
they are all
UPS
great.
guys a lot. Also, internet, that might be something, Charter, Spectrum, those folks, that would probably affect their world a little bit, so might be smart to really kind of look at our list of who are all the people that need to know my address, and That way, when we do give that letter to folks, like, these are the folks that you should be notifying of your change.
Mhm.
And then that way it kind of maybe helps ease that process to where now they have that checklist of, this is what I need to do, and so nothing gets missed, and,
I mean, by all means, like, I would just take the whole list of changes and send that over to Allied Waste and say, here, incorporate these into your database, so that these, so that the
151
individual
addresses,
homeowners
because everybody
can-
else's would stay the same, so,
yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
Cool. I mean, that's only 151, that's 10%, almost, yeah, 8%, I guess.
8%.
Is there any chance
How much
that
do you
peanut
save
butter
by
and alcohol?
recycling the aluminum, do you guess?
Aluminum's expensive.
Yeah, but I mean, you probably, you do the signs for the county too?
Yeah,
What's
I can't do the vinyl backing, but I do my own numbering. I would still have this professionally done though.
I mean, what would we save on a sign, guess?
I bet the aluminum's probably at least $4 per sign.
Because it would streamline things a little bit if we got all our ducks in a row and just had all the signs ordered.
Yeah,
And we're just swapping them rather than trying to lap decals, you know.
yeah,
It'd
or waiting for a turnaround to get them back.
it may not, the savings may not be worth
The hassle.
the drag out.
I
Yeah.
get
I
that.
could
That
auction
tracks.
those ones off and raise some money.
There you go.
Yeah, I was gonna say, hey, we've been trying to build new benches in town, we can build out of old
Oh,
street
yeah,
signs.
there you
And then we know what ponds to keep them on.
You could technically reuse them too.
Yeah.
I hate to say that, but you take them off and
And just have them
Put
for
'em-
future.
put 'em
Just
in
get a
drop-
Sharpie,
put-
but,
put
you
'em
know.
in because the name of, well, you'd have to change the east, west, the north, south, that one letter, but I don't know. Yeah, I think just because of the age of the signs and the new standards that are in place and the reflectivity requirements, I would just, as you say, just go out and use it.
Is there, I mean, can we do a quick calculation, like you said, $134?
$4 a sign,
So 270 times 4 plus the printing.
$1,000,
Yeah, okay.
$1,100.
Well, that's not
For just
Well,
what you save on aluminum.
So, I bet you the sign's gonna run you 20,
$25.
$20 a piece.
at least.
So 20 times 270.
25.
540 with an extra zero,
$5,400.
5,400.
Oh, that's not as much as I was thinking. Yeah.
I don't
Too
quote
bad
me
if
on
we're-
that, I'd go out and reach out to,
Yeah, I'll get
Reds
some,
and Billings.
signs. Who do you deal with,
I
Billy?
usually deal with Reds, but you might
Reds.
wanna go with someone who has a little more production capability.
And then what other
Yeah.
costs would there be? Like if we've got $40,000 set aside, there'd be labor, and that would be,
We're probably gonna replace some posts while we're out there, 'cause we've
Yeah.
got, I'm just driving around, you can see
I
some that are
imagine some
bent up
hardware's
and
probably
lower
gonna need
there,
to
we're probably,
replace
There's
Placement
still
as well.
some circular pipe out there with the double-sided singular ones that are put in the slot. So,
Yeah, I don't know if it, all of the signs are breakaway ones
yeah.
or not.
would you want to budget anything for, you know, just letting people know, sending out a postcard, just saying that,
Yeah,
yeah,
heads up
I'll sit down and put together something, I'll present a budget in the next meeting of what this might look like.
okay, thanks.
And I'll
And
try
what you
and,
could do too, as far as budget-wise, because we currently have 40,000 in this year's budget, and then, we could at least purchase the signs this fiscal year, and then budget for whatever other things that might be needed. Or just continue with the 40,000, and then have it there for,
Yeah, let's get a budget first, and then that way we can kind of figure out what the, if there is a gap, if, hey, maybe 40,000 would do it, that'd be great. I mean, it seems like a reasonable sized budget, so,
And there's, you know, there's also the possibility that the council may not vote for it,
sure, yeah.
but
I mean, again, to me, it's not gonna be easy, it's not gonna be fun, but it's something that should have happened. It would have been great if we could have had this happen
before you own that business, yeah.
right? Well, no, more so I think about just with what's happened at the post office currently, where everyone's had to go through the headache of adding their, like, things won't go to their physical address, it has to have the PO box on there now, I don't know. Or maybe it's actually easier now because of that.
I would, yeah, reach out to Chief Schrock, and
Yeah,
I think you still have the support from Tom Coons for this move, but I definitely get them on board.
yep,
And maybe someone from the post office too.
yeah.
So they're ready for it.
I guess my thought is title company as well, like talking to both of those and see how we can best make it easier on them moving forward. Just, it sounds like, yeah, they get this readdressing thing, but if we can be proactive to where it's one less piece of paperwork they're trying to track down, if we can provide them with all of those that they can add into their database, that to me makes like a lot more sense, because me as a homeowner, I keep all my stuff, but not necessarily everybody does. Like, they might lose that letter and have to go try and get it reissued, and as a realtor, like, trying to close a property, that sounds like a real pain in the ass.
Well, and the title company is gonna be an affected address too, so.
Yeah, exactly. So, again, I think that might
Double whammy.
be just how we can be the most proactive to make it as painless as possible. Kind of thinking through those steps of, these are the people that really need to know.
Well, and in the letter to the 151 people, it'd be nice to give them like a punch list of, here's what to consider, here's what you should,
Yep.
change your address,
Yep.
contact all these people, just so they have a concrete list of what needs to get done.
Yeah, and if there's a way that we can alleviate some of that, again, through automation, sending out all those letters to, whether it's Charter and Republic and all of the different folks that utilize those addresses, then that way they have it for their
Yeah,
database.
and you can just say, we've already done this for you, we've already contacted
Yep,
the title company, the post office,
yep,
some of those things, so they won't have to do that.
It'd be interesting to know what database these companies use, like Northwestern Energy. My address changed 15 years ago, and they're still using the old address.
yeah,
So, and so are the couriers.
yeah.
There's a lot, that's why I'm saying it takes time to propagate through all these systems, because there's a lot of them out there.
Yeah, we have one place that shows up with 2 different addresses down at Rocky Fork. And we just have to give both of those addresses when giving out directions. Like, it could either come up as this or this, depending on which search engine you use, so. Okay, that sounds, yeah, I think it's smart to do. It's just, how can we make it as seamless as possible? Any other thoughts, questions, concerns?
I have a question.
Okay.
What did the house wear to the party?
Yes.
Very good.
Perfect.
For a presentation to council, is this the right level of detail, or?
I think this is great, yeah.
Do you feel comfortable
Yeah, I can
going through this tonight
Mhm.
and just giving an overview, and then we can jot down some questions, and, yeah, we'll make sure that you get on the agenda then
Yeah, for the next meeting.
Oh, on the next meeting.
for the following meeting, if you
What,
can think of anything.
yeah, if you don't mind, I think it would be awkward, you said it was the 9th?
April 9th, I believe so. And then after that, the next one
It doesn't
is
matter which one it does.
23rd, you're gone all the way.
Well, the 23rd is the next.
Yeah, I don't think there's any huge rush, is there?
Been working, we made more progress
Yeah.
today than
Yeah.
we made in the last
Thank you,
8 years,
thank
so.
you very much, you guys, for,
Yeah.
talking together and for
We
coming.
can coast for a while.
Hey,
Yeah.
Chelsea, do you want to change that so it's not shared?
Andy, how do you spell your last name?
Hazelford, H-A-Z,
Oh, hang on a second. H-A-Z, where am I? H-A-Z-E-L.
E-L, S-W-A-R-D.
Okay. I just added her on that.
Ah, perfect, thank you.
Yeah, I like the idea of the 23rd.
I had it spelled out.
23rd.
Okay.
You have something laid out that's gonna show from that Easter thing, what the numbers would be coming back.
I'm not sure. Well, that's the, what
So
would be,
like, well, just so that, like,
Probably do these notes.
if I was to go through those hundred
Yeah,
and
I mean,
fifty-one
it's
addresses.
great. I've been just writing them down
okay,
because I have a
whatever.
hard time typing and
Yeah,
Second Street
listening.
is
but,
gonna
you know.
become, is the number gonna, number?
Yeah, if you're okay with it, I mean,
The
you really have any
number's
notes.
gonna change too,
on which,
on a street that
Thank
say,
you. Yeah.
well,
Thank you
like say,
for offering.
10th Street's gonna be first north now.
yeah.
Is the number on the house gonna stay the same, it's just gonna change the street? Or is the number gonna change too, because our origin's out there?
Yeah, but I mean, well, the street number's gonna change, as will the
Yeah.
individual address.
I'm talking
along
about
it.
the address too.
Yeah.
You have those
But
blocks?
is that your is that the city's responsibility, or would that be, I think you want, you notify them of the change of address, and then I find that you can't issue them a uniform plate, they won't use it.
No, I'm talking about just like going through and saying, whatever,
Yeah, you're,
10th Street North is now gonna be X First Street, well,
yeah,
Right.
so the full address
So-
will change, not
Yeah.
just, yeah.
but you have a layout of what those numbers are gonna be coming across from the origin in the east?
No, and we'd have to reassign them.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't have them yet. That's a fair amount of work on somebody's behalf, either John Trapp, who's technically the city addressing authority.
Sorry, you may have just said this, but I had my head in here, but are the people that are on the avenues, will they have to change their house number? Just the street, okay. So
Yeah.
they don't even have any cost in changing the number?
Yeah.
He was asking,
Avenue.
have I already reassigned the new addresses yet, and I have not.
Okay.
No, I'm not sure.
Or what that block looks like.
Yeah.
That's,
Who should
yeah,
take the lead role?
where those blocks start, where the one.
Who's John?
John Trapp?
Yeah.
He's the assistant chief at the Red Lodge Fire.
Oh,
Red Lodge
okay.
Fire was designated as the addressing authority for municipalities.
So they're the ones
He's a
that,
good guy, smart.
they're the
Yep.
ones that determine what that number's gonna be. Okay.
Yep.
Anything else on this topic?
I think that's all I need.
Okay. Thank you. Feel free to stick around, Tom, or not. And, thanks again. I really appreciate your expertise and the overview. That was really helpful for me, anyway.
Yeah, I think that's gonna help a ton.
I'm just gonna quickly jump to Pride Park, MOU.
Okay.
So Lonnie was nice enough to make us a copy. I haven't had a chance to go look through, but I don't think it really matters. It's signed, it's sealed, it's delivered. So really all we need to do is, make a resolution to, say that. And I'm happy to put that together for our next meeting.
I just had one question on it.
Yeah.
And just strictly kind of, just because we're doing budgets right now and looking at parks, there's a place in here that says, that if they go over $500 a year for cost and the city picks it up. In the past, have they went over $500?
Yes.
Yes?
Yeah.
Like what,
Yeah, we just did one last month in Clay, oh, well, I guess we're still in March,
so we,
in this one.
so we need to budget something for
It
that?
comes out of the Parks Board, that 80,000.
Yeah, they
is
play
where
with
it's
that.
So they
from.
just pay for it?
There's nothing additional.
And it says that they work with the Community Development Department?
Yeah,
What's
so,
that?
this was done before me. It should be Public Works,
Okay.
but I don't know if that is, necessary to change in there. It's still the city, but it would.
Sure, but it comes out of the Public Works Parks budget.
Parks
Okay,
budget. Yeah.
that's all I had.
Okay. Well, I can draw up a simple, ordinance. Resolution, sorry. Yep, resolution. And, we'll have it for next time.
Perfect.
And then, we might have to skip Rodeo Park and just talk about the phase 2 and 3 of stormwater. So, is it okay if I just read what Lonnie
Yeah, like
gave
I
us?
said, that's just kind of a rough, like, breakdown of what I told you guys earlier
Yeah.
today.
So an RFP for bids for stormwater phases 2 and 3 were advertised. Bids were received, bids were opened and verified by the city and engineers. I just learned this all in my class that I took the last 6 weeks, following the procedures. Engineers did bid tabulations and gave the city their recommendations. And the engineers, were those from Great West? Yeah.
Great.
Resolution 3647, resolution of intent to award bid, presented for discussion at city council meeting tonight. council can discuss the schedules the engineers provided, and council can discuss which ones to include in the bid award. And so that is, not phase, what was the
So it's
Schedule.
phase 2 and 3, and then there's schedules 1,
Schedule.
2, and 3.
1, 2, and 3?
Yeah, and that's how the engineers had broke it up, was schedule 1, here's how much it's gonna be. Schedule 2, 1 and 2, this is what it's gonna be.
1, 2,
Schedule
and
3.
3.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then we will vote on it at the next council meeting on the 9th. And once the resolution to award bid is approved, then the engineers finalize the project budget based on what schedules the council approves. Phases 1, 2, or 3, or no, sorry, not phase.
So they're approve the phases when they award the bid?
Yeah, so when you guys, at the next meeting, when you guys award the bid, you need to make sure that we're going to award whether it's gonna be schedule 1, 1 and 2, or 1, 2, and 3. So that has to be part of what you guys are gonna award the bid, because then that's how,
They proceed, Wilson Brothers will proceed. Okay.
So that's schedule, just making sure I have this right, there's phase 1, 2, and 3, and underneath that is schedule 1, 2.
Yeah.
Actually, phase 1's already finished.
Yeah,
And
so
so this is phase 2 and
phase
3 for the stormwater.
phase 2 and 3
Okay.
is what. and
That's,
then
I heard schedule, and I'm
I
like,
know, I'm thinking.
So here's,
I wanna make sure I
here's
get
the
this
picture.
right.
Oh,
And that's, the red is schedule 1, 2 is schedule
1 and 2.
green,
That's awesome.
and yellow is 3.
did we get a copy of that?
Yeah, we'll make a copy of that.
Okay.
We'll have 2 here.
Yeah, did we see that in the
And that's
packet?
in the packet.
Yep, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
It's in the packet.
The
That
map is?
one,
I don't think the map is.
The map, no, the map is not, but the schedule, the
Yeah.
amount is in there.
Yeah,
The other maps I saw were
And
sure.
the engineers have come up with estimates of what the rate increases will be, and
And
Brandon,
that's in the,
and
in the
Brandon
packet.
thinks they're gonna be pretty accurate, because they did them prior to the bidding,
mhm.
and the bids came in under their estimate, and then he went back and reworked them a little bit, I think.
Yeah, and the engineer's recommendation that's included in the packet, they, put in there what the rates would be. If you did only schedule 1, it's like $3 and some.
Well,
Which
schedule,
page that was?
schedule 1 is 637 is what it costs. Right now, people are paying 340.
Yeah, yeah.
That's a maintenance fee on your tax,
On
property
utility
taxes.
bills?
No,
No.
property
Property
tax.
tax, okay.
Yeah.
Where would that be in here?
It is.
I'm gonna give everybody
Let's see, this is 18.
some reading material on it.
Thank you. Oh,
That's,
Awesome.
that's where Public Works stands on it.
okay.
I love how prepared you are, Mike.
Yeah, this is great.
Yeah, this is great.
But, and if you wanna go over it, we can, but we can just read it.
Oh, okay, it's in the letter, all right. Yep. Okay. Okay for me to continue on this, with this list? So based on what the council approved, schedules 1, 2, or 3, we'll then send to the state and Dorsey and Whitney, who is the bond council.
Mhm.
The bond council will then do the process of determining what the rates will need to be to cover the payment, which are here.
Which they just finalize as far as,
Nope,
to determine
they
those
should
rates
be
are.
close to those numbers.
Okay. And then the bond council will provide the resolution of intent to set the fees. This will be put on for discussion at the next council meeting after receiving it. And then the resolution of intent will then go to the council at the next meeting for action. So once this is approved, it starts the process of mailings being sent to all property owners that the fee affects, stating in the mailing the date and time of a public hearing and what the rates will be. Next step, bond council will then provide the resolution, set the fees. This will be presented to council for discussion. Resolution to set fees will then come back to the council at the following meeting for action, and the public hearing will be held then as well. This is great, Lonnie, thank you. That
Mhm.
makes much more sense than what we were talking about this morning, so.
Yeah.
What kind of timeline is this? Is this like a 2-month process, you think, or
Well, so
a
I know
5-month process?
as far as the bids that were given, are good for 60 days. So the council has to have
Okay,
We have to have an award in.
yeah,
And the sooner we get, it takes about a month to get through the SRF process. at least.
yeah, so getting the resolution and
And we
the
have to have that before we can commence work.
and when were the bids, so we haven't awarded, did we award the bid to Wilson Brothers?
No,
No, that's, you guys are discussing it
Okay.
tonight,
Okay,
and then at the April 9th meeting, you guys will, take action on it, on whatever schedules.
so once the resolution to award bid is approved, that starts this clock of 60 days?
no, clock,
No, it's already clicking.
Okay,
Yeah,
so when
that-
did
that
this
clock's
clock
ticking.
start ticking?
unless,
Did you guys open it last,
I can't remember.
we had our stormwater meeting on Wednesday.
So we got a fire in
They
us.
were open.
Yeah, I mean,
There's
it's-
priority.
And, you know, it's also gonna come down to where SRF lands. The main thing for us is to get through on the 19th, come to the conclusion that we're gonna do these schedules and award and get it sent off so that then SRF can start their process. We don't wanna be the slowest ones on.
Who's SRF?
It's the state revolving fund.
So with this rate increase for each schedule, this is for all the phases or just phase 2?
That's phase 2. It's confusing because they put 2 and 3 together,
Okay,
and then they split it into 3 schedules. So it's phase 2 and phase 3.
okay, so this is all of it?
It's all of it. It's phase 2 and phase 3. There's a phase 4 that's kind of like out there but it's not as important in terms of waste and stormwater.
Well, and we're still in a committee meeting, so.
Um,
Thank you.
This is where the council
Yep,
meeting.
that starts at 6, and we're just wrapping up the public works meeting.
Yeah, 2 and 3 get the majority of the storm project done. There is still a phase 4 out there. It's a lot smaller diameter pipe, and it's not as extensive. It's kind of like, if you wanna think about it, it's at the headwaters of our drainage.
Okay.
And a lot of that water will get caught down in these lower ones as it comes. It'd be up there like on 22nd and White and down.
So with this as well, it does include sidewalks, this includes all
Nope.
the finalization, cleanup, having it.
Nope, this is just getting the pipes in the ground.
So then,
Streets and sidewalks are separate, and they cost $400,000 a block.
And we're,
awesome.
and we're hoping right now, just to address that, like, phase 1 was all done. There's an EDA grant that supposedly we will score very high on. And we can get $3.5 million on that. Our match is $717 or $717. And we have, from the gas tax and a few other things, we have
And
probably,
the 1%, resort tax.
we'll have some of that, but and that grant's in the process of being done right now.
Are you writing it?
No, Great West is.
Agree with.
But we're pretty close to having the match on hand, so that's a real viable. And that would be the curb, gutter, pavement, everything.
That'd be fantastic.
Well, I see it in here. Like, in this line item for the bid, I see curb, gutter, concrete sidewalk, 4-inch thickness, surface restoration, asphalt, surface
I think
restoration,
that might be-
aggregate.
And you're seeing that
Which line
where?
item is that, Chelsea?
This is on, bear
That's
with
on the
me.
bid tabs, yeah.
Yeah,
I think, I
so
can't,
like
it's
right
so
here,
small.
I know, it's really rough,
It's like in the 200s, the
it's
100s?
one in each
But
phase, so in
yeah.
schedule 1, 2, and 3.
Oh,
That's
curb and
just
gutter.
gonna be like where they did it plat down here last year. That's just gonna be
Yeah, it's
on the
like
trench.
$4,500,
Okay,
so
so it's
probably
gonna
not a
be
lot.
gross.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's not what everybody wants.
Sure, no, I just wanted
And
to, again, I
basically,
see it
that's,
and I
that's what it takes to
understand
get
it.
it back to existing condition.
Okay.
Right, well, sure, it's gonna be a lot of
And so of this
questions.
bid, because I know this will also come up and was something that we were talking about this morning, how much of this can be paid for with the 1% resort tax?
Lonnie just left, I don't know how much is in there,
I don't have it, so,
so.
um,
Do you mind if I just quick, ask her to come back
Yeah.
and see if she can make, do you want a copy of this?
I stole one, yeah, I thought I did anyway.
We have one to share, so I'll just ask.
Can I give a copy of that?
Sure.
I think crazy to read through what I wrote up on this.
Yeah, that'd be great.
So will sidewalks, curbs, re-asphalting be a separate bid for another company?
For the total street restoration, that'll be a different
Yes,
project.
so, because what you're talking about now, all these initial phases, 1 through maybe 4, are just
Getting the
putting
pipes in the ground
and
and getting it-
drains.
and getting the pipes in the ground, getting the sewer separate, or get stormwater separated from sewer, and basically bringing it back to existing condition. And then the streets come later.
And my impression is that some of those new drains into the stormwater separated out from sewer may not function fully until there's the curb. and the
Yeah,
street.
like down here where they put them in, there's problems with the surface water getting directed to the inlets because there are no curbs to funnel it there.
And when would the curb project, I'll call it, potentially be able to happen?
That would be part of that grant that we're looking into right now. And I think
Funding for it.
if it'd be a big windfall if we were to get it, and if we were, I would say that it would be next year, would be when construction. The design work is,
Angie would like a
I think, like 80% complete right now.
Get those to you.
At Great West.
However you see fit.
Yeah, for that, for phase one, and then just kind of chase this back up. You know, we install.
This is the street addressing, I'm guessing, by looking at it.
No, that's stormwater.
Oh,
Ideally.
this is 123, oh, 23.
Next year. There.
Well, we should pull the tables apart so that.
Yep. Yeah, Chris, meeting adjourned. Meeting adjourned. Yep, thank you, everyone.
How's your fiance doing?
Better.